up? This is Caroline with the CWC podcast, where we believe that life without your favorite foods is not worth living. I'm going to be talking a lot about my journey to food freedom, and of course I will always keep it real by sharing the good, the bad, and of course the ugly. I just want to introduce formerly Lee Cockerell. He is the retired executive VP of Walt Disney World, was there for 16 years, held management positions with Hilton, Marriott, etc. Also is the author of 4 amazing books. I was reading part of Creating Magic over the weekend, and I found some really, really good nuggets in there that I'm going to bring up later in our conversation. But I kind of want to give an intro on how we started chatting back and forth. And, you know, I saw you talk probably, I think it was 3 or 3.5 years ago, and you came to Tulsa, and I went with a friend who invited me to go. And I just remember going in, not really with any expectations. I didn't really know what was going to happen. And you just kind of like sucked me in. And that normally never happens, especially in those types of scenarios. And I was entranced by your honesty, number one, and the way that you spoke about doing mundane things day in, day out to be successful and to get what you want out of life, because most people don't talk about it in those terms. And then you also spoke very openly about, you know, your battle with depression when Priscilla was ill. And I don't know, I just remember you just grabbed me, like from your speech literally grabbed me. It did. And I left and friended you on Facebook and started following along. And then I noticed I was on, you know, I do lives all the time. And I saw you pop up on one of my lives one time, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And we just started messaging back and forth on Facebook, and you've just been so helpful to me and recommending books to read. And so anyway, that's kind of how I first came about, you know, to know you, and then how we started just chit-chatting back and forth. And so, you know, I'm just super pumped that you're on the podcast.
Well, I'm glad that it all worked out that way. You know, I'm from Oklahoma, so
I know.
Bartlesville, right down the street from here.
I love it. I love it. So what, you know, I want to hear a little bit. That was my first question is, you know, what was it like growing up in Bartlesville, Oklahoma?
Well, I was born there, and we lived, I tell everybody so they understand where I'm coming from. You know, my mother was kind of busy. She was married 5 times. So we eventually moved up to Copan, Oklahoma. I don't know if you know where that is. It's on the way to the Kansas border. You go to Dewey, and the next town is Copan. It's about as big as your thumb. And we had a farm up there, and we were just as poor as could be. Of course, my brother and I were kids. We didn't know we were poor. We had dinner every night. So, but we didn't even have indoor plumbing. And my mother was married 5 times. I've been adopted twice. I got my name Cockerell when I was 16. My husband, number 4, who was a doctor. And so my mother started making better choices. So I got to go to college because he had money. And I went to Oklahoma State for 2 years and flunked out because I didn't go to class. And I was a terrible student. That education wasn't really pushed very much in our family or discussed, or people didn't even expect you to go to college. So I went in the Army. And I just happened to meet a guy there, and he invited me to go to Washington, D.C. with him to open the Washington Hilton. He said he would get me a job, and he did. So we took off to Washington, and I got a job as a waiter there, and my career took off from there, and I just got in the management training program, and I worked for Hilton 8 years, Marriott and Disney, Marriott 17, Hilton 8, and Disney 16. So it surprised me because when I was 20 years old, I knew nothing. I'd never been out of Oklahoma. I didn't read the paper. I didn't watch the news. I didn't nothing. I mean, literally. I didn't even know what the price of corn was. You know, I didn't watch the commodity even on the news. And so I tell people today, they say, well, how are you so successful? I said, well, I think it was 2 things. I have a good attitude, which is a good thing to have if you don't have a college degree. It'll help you get in, because people like to help people who are, have a good attitude, and I did. And then I'm very organized. I'm very disciplined. I have a very good system for keeping up with things, keeping my promises, being reliable, doing those kind of things. Those two seem to work real well when you work with other people, especially your boss. And it just slowly but surely I started learning. And one day I woke up and actually liked learning. I wish I'd have learned that when I was in school. I said I've written 4 books, but I still don't know where the commas go. I mean, I asked somebody the other day, what's this semicolon for? When do you use those? But I can find experts to help me with things I don't know. And I just had a great career, and it was fun. I guess I was lucky because I liked the hotel and entertainment business.
Right.
It was fun, and it's every day is so different because you know how people are. Humans, you never know what they're going to do next.
Nope.
All kinds of things happen in hotels.
Oh, I could only imagine.
So it turned out good. I met my wife in the hotel I worked at in Washington. We've been married coming up 53 years.
Wow.
And she said she's going to stay, so I know I'm doing better. And,
that's right.
So life worked out well. But Bartlesville was where I got started, and I think a lot of the discipline I have is from working on a farm because, you guys have animals. I mean,
yeah,
we had a dairy farm, and you can't go away. I mean, literally. No. I'd never been on vacation my whole life till I was like 21 years old because we'd go out to the lake and ski or something but you had to be back. I mean, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and I had to milk a cow every morning by hand. That was part of my development program, even though we had electric milkers. And so it was just, I think you learn a lot in Oklahoma. People are generally helpful.
Yes.
Neighbors. And so I guess that's where the people say responsibility and discipline was because it was expected, and it was just kind of the environment I grew up in. So I think that's what happens. You become who you hang out with in life.
I agree.
As you've learned recently, don't hang out with the wrong people because they'll take you down the wrong path. And
I could not agree more. I mean, and that's, I think all of us have at one point been in a situation where you maybe were hanging out with someone who wasn't the best for your best interest, whatever that might be. Yeah. And I mean, it really is true. You do become your inner circle, and those people around you have to be. They have to have your best interest. They have to be positive. They have to be encouraging and uplifting. And if they're not, you're just going to get sucked down with them. And you're right on point with that.
And sometimes it's even some far member of your family.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Sure. Yeah.
And but that, and I'm sure you think about that, who you want your kids to hang out with and who you don't want them to hang out with.
Yep.
Because they'll, especially when you're young, you can get in trouble pretty quick because the kids, somebody said all the kids who get you in trouble are fun.
Mm-hmm.
they get you into fun things. And
that's right.
Next thing you know, the sheriff shows up. So
I've been there. I had my fair share of that when I was growing up. When I was 17, I was a little troublemaker too, and I don't know if I was hanging around with the wrong types of people. I might have been that wrong type of person at that point. It's probably me causing all the problems, and I had to learn a lot of hard lessons in that time period. And same thing what you said a second ago about I wish I would have learned that discipline earlier in life, because I feel like, gosh, I'm approaching 40 and I feel like now I have my head on straight. I know what I want. I know I'm going to put the work in. I'm like, gosh, if I only could have just started this when I was 30, but
Well, you got a long way to go. 40 is young, and you can do as much as you want to do, and you're finding that out. It's obvious. I've watched your, I click on and watch you from time to time, and I see your posts, and I've seen you grow pretty dramatically in just the last year.
I feel
really dramatically. Way. I mean, it's totally different, and your confidence, and so that's what happens. It kind of clicks in one day.
Yeah,
and
it does.
So, because lack of self-confidence is the biggest problem, which is what I had early in my career. I was I just didn't have much confidence because of the way I grew up and not having a college degree and working in New York City and not knowing which fork to use.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And one day, with experience and exposure, it clicks in, and you all of a sudden, oh, I know this. Okay. But it takes time. A lot of people, I was telling people, what you need is exposure and experience, and because that's what really makes you grow, is getting exposed to all kinds of weird things in life, and experience and exposure to other people. And so I was lucky.
You got to dive in and get started, and then, like you said, it's that experience. You can't buy that. You put the work in, and then when you do enough of it, it really does start to build up that confidence. Yeah,
you end up knowing things other people don't know.
That's right.
And that's intimidating for them sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's quite a trip to success.
Oh yeah, it's very, very up and down, and I would say emotional. And that's only just me speaking from my own, I can only draw on my own.
I've seen that in some of your posts this week. Yeah. But you got family support too, big support.
Yeah.
And that matters a lot.
And that was, I don't want to say it was unexpected, because it was, I knew that support system is there. It's solid, but it's still doesn't make that. I mean, it's very, very comforting, but man, like there's just things, especially in business, that happen that I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what do I do now? And you got to kind of figure out how to navigate and still move forward and get the job done, so to speak, at the end of the day, and just put on that face and just do the work. And a lot of times it's hard because those emotions take over, and you got to kind of learn how to deal with them.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, business is about performance.
Right.
And, that gets confusing, the emotional impact of relationships. Yeah. That can really get in the way sometimes, but it's great.
Well, so there was a part that I loved. It was just a little synopsis from Creating Magic, and you said everyone is important. Make your people your brand. Burn the free fuel, appreciation, recognition, and encouragement. Give people a purpose, not just a job. And I absolutely love that, and I feel like I use a lot of that in my own business, because I do feel like we are providing a purpose. I don't feel like it's.
Well, you talked about that the last couple of weeks, about your understanding your purpose was to help people.
Yeah.
And when you know that, that makes you a different person. I mean, some people think their purpose is making money and just annoying everybody, but
yeah.
Sometimes you have to annoy people to help them, but as long as you're on the right track. I tell everybody, don't be a boss, be a teacher. That's what your job is, to teach, and you're doing that. And teaching takes some hard conversations sometimes with people.
Oh, yeah.
I said it's like a mother. Manage like a mother. Mothers don't care if you're happy. They care if you're successful. And
so true.
The two things mothers have, which I love, and I think every leader ought to have, is empathy and discipline, and they'll use both on you.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was empathetic, but she would kick our butt. And so empathy and discipline, which a lot of men don't have.
Right.
Women are wired that way, in a special way. And it's true. I mean, my mother was a terrorist before they had them in the world. I mean, she was tough on us.
Yeah.
But we look back on that as good. As I told my wife, I can iron, I can do the laundry, I can cook. My mother made sure we did everything because she worked. And I can iron a shirt better than my wife.
I mean, and that's impressive, because I feel like not a lot of men do those things. I don't want to generalize, but I think that's really awesome that you do all of those things.
Well, I told Priscilla, I said, Priscilla, the only reason I stay with you is because I love you, because I can do all this other stuff.
I've got the other stuff covered.
I got it all covered. Yeah. I can clean this house faster than our cleaning crew comes in here.
Right. There was something that you said. It was a direct quote, and I think it goes back to what we were saying about, you said the key to successfully handling disruption is to plan for it, even if you don't know what the disruption is going to be. That's so
it will be
heavy.
coming. You learned that. You know, the way you prepare is to know what you stand for and what you won't stand for.
Yes.
And what you believe and what you don't believe. And when you got those two things wrapped up, nothing can surprise you.
That's a really good way to say, like, it's very simple. I know what I will stand for, and I know what I won't stand for, and I have a very clear vision of what I want long term for not just, I don't want to say this business, but, you know, my clients are my business, and I put everything I have in my body into them every single day. And so I do know very, very, very clearly what I want and what I don't want. And that, I think, is key, because then it makes those tough decisions just not easier, but it is. It's very much like, well, I just know what it has to be.
Well, one of the things people don't do, which is what gets them in trouble in life, is they don't want to make the hard decisions. Right. Because, you know, they're hard. I tell people, you know, the number one reason people don't exercise is because it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing else. The one reason people eat too much is lack of discipline. Like I said, empathy and discipline. And those 99% of the problems people in the world get into are because of self-imposed lack of discipline. I mean, and they look for this magic pill, which is so it's interesting to work with. And you have a lot of support from your followers and from your clients.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's because they know you're committed to them. You know, they always say, if you're committed to me, I'll be committed to you. And commitment's interesting, a word. And that's how you build a business. People,
that's
reputation. Right. They know you will be consistent, and that's what people like eventually.
And that's consistency is really, I say all the time, you know, with anything in life, not just, you know, following a meal plan or going to the gym every day and working out. Like, consistency will get you anything you want, and it doesn't have to be at Mach speed. You just have to figure out how to make whatever it is work for you, and then just do it day in, day out.
When I watch you work out, I want to go out and buy heavier weights. Or get some milk cans or something. I don't know.
Some milk jugs, and do like some farmer walks.
Yeah. But did I see a camel on your property?
Yeah, we actually have, oh my gosh, we have 4 on our property right now.
That's
yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah, my husband is absolutely crazy. We have a zebra and donkeys and horses, and
wow,
it's quite the menagerie of farm animals. But I mean, that's, you know, honestly, that's his passion. He, you know, runs his own business, and, you know, that's his baby. He's built that from the ground up for the last 15, 20 years. But as he's getting older, he said, you know, I really want to have animals, like farm animals, and that it brings me joy. And I said, okay. So not to say I never want to gloss over and make everyone think, oh, their life is so perfect, because there's been many conversations where there's been tough, and you know this from growing up on a farm, tough, you know, an animal that goes into labor in the middle of the night, and we have to go out there and help the baby be birthed. I mean, just, you know, all sorts of things that come up with owning a farm and lead to, you know.
How do you all deal with going away?
You know, we have not. I think we've been on one vacation since we've had the farm.
Okay, there you go.
To have someone lined up to come out and do water and feed, and we don't really vacation as much as we used to.
Yeah, I was wondering that, because I knew it was so restrictive when I was growing up that I could hardly get away to go to the store and back.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened.
Yeah, you got to make sure those little mouths get fed, because they can't do it themselves.
You know, in France, our grandkid, my daughter-in-law is French, and our grandkids went to France every summer to visit their grandparents and go to camp with their cousins. And the farmers there, what they do is they set up a big, huge tent for women or girls and a big tent for guys. Mm-hmm. And the kids go to camp, and they help serve and feed and all the stuff on the farm. And the farmer charges a fortune for these kids to stay a week or two. And then at night, they have a sheet kind of thing. They have to make their own beds with straw, and they zip them in so they can't get mixed together at night. The farmer zips up the tent at night when they go to sleep, and the kids, and all they do is work on the farm and do stuff for him, and set the table and feed, and the kids just think it's the most unbelievable thing ever. So
wow, that's pretty interesting.
I mean, he charges hundreds of dollars a week for.
And then he gets workers. They come.
Yeah, and they come and they do it. And he and his wife and the kids set the table. They serve the food. They clean the barn.
Man.
Everything. And the kids think that's about as much fun as it gets. You know.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and it is work. But I always say, like, it's fun work, because the stuff we do on the weekends, it's always work related. You know, there's always something to do on a farm, work related. But it's nice to get outside in the fresh air and the sunshine instead of just sitting inside the house. And you know, my son, he helps. Like, he's out there every single day. He's in charge of making sure the water bins are full. Like, they have to have water. They have to have their food.
Well, you probably have to have liability insurance for the zebras. We had a lot of problems with zebras at Animal Kingdom. They were pretty mean. They would kick the other animals.
Yeah, that is the one thing, because you know, he researches pretty thoroughly before just buying a certain animal, and that's what he kept saying. He said, you know, zebras aren't they're wild, so they're pretty hard.
Exactly.
To bring them in, and just they're not like a donkey. And the one that we have, she is super sweet. She won't come right up to you and let you pet her, but she'll just run away if you're out in the field. Like, she'll come within about 5 feet of you, but she's not really mean. We
had to separate the antelope and zebras at Disney, because the zebras were actually killing some of the antelope. Like,
oh my goodness!
Kicking them with their back feet, and
man.
So that was a problem for a while. So they got to be separated.
Well, but that's exactly like we were just saying. Like, there's certain types of things that happen when you bring in animals like that, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, great. That's good.
Well, so what are some tips? I know we've kind of talked a little bit about it for, you know, someone listening who is struggling, doesn't know where to get started, wants to be successful, but they just can't get started. What are some tips that you would provide them?
Well, I think every time I want to do something, I try to find somebody that's an expert in what I want to do, and see if I can get some help from them. You know, when I started my podcast, which is 380 episodes now, it's all for 7 years, and it's 15 minutes every Tuesday. We've never missed it. But I teamed up with a guy that's what he does for a living, and we are partners now. He's an expert at it. I told him all I do is talk, and you have to edit and put it on. And I'm retired. I don't do any work, and he's done a great job. And then when I started putting my Cockerell Academy together, I talked to different experts about certificate courses for colleges and how to put the exams online and the coursework. And so I think first you got to get somebody to help you. It's kind of like exercise. Yeah. You need somebody pushing you, and somebody that knows what they're doing, so like an expert, you don't get hurt. You know, when I used to work out alone, I got hurt all the time because I didn't know what I was doing. Now I have a trainer, and I had no injuries. And so I would say that, and frankly, just get started. It'll take on a life. It's like you just start it. And how many adjustments have you made to your business? I mean, you will. You'll learn. This will change. You'll read a good article. You'll get that. Somebody else. And I would say talk to other people about your idea if you're starting out a business. Does this make sense? Why would somebody buy this? And just do some research. I mean, there's plenty of research on the internet, and there's plenty of content depending on what they want to do. And people in Oklahoma, and I think generally around the country, are willing to help you. All you got to do is ask.
Yep.
The scary part is getting started, because people are, especially if you got to put any capital in. And so I think that's what holds people back, is just lack of self-confidence and not pushing. You got to just start. If you'd have told me when I wrote my books, if you'd have told me I could even write a book, I said I've written more books than I've read. I mean, it's like but it happened. I got a professional guy to help me, and he made sure that the grammar was right, and other people looked at it. And it just got done eventually.
Yeah,
and I'd go on the internet and do research when I couldn't think of more to talk about. It was there, and some days I could write for 10 minutes and some for 2 or 3 hours. And it was frustrating. There was a deadline, and you have to work through it. But you got to really want to do whatever it is. That's half you got to want to do it. You know?
Oh, that is such a good point. That's such a good point. That's what I always say. I say, you can say that you want to do it, but once I present the work and say, here you go, here's what you got to do. If you keep stumbling, at the end of the day, you got to go back. And I always say, go back to why you start. Why do you want this? Do you really want it?
Exactly. That is the key. And, I always tell people, if you can't make hard decisions and you can't have hard conversations and push through work, don't have kids, first of all. And number 2, don't start a business. It's hard, and you're going to have obstacles are going to show up, and like a pandemic, like a recession, like a whatever. So
you got to somehow keep going.
You got to push through it. And if you got somebody to help you, it could be parents, it could be a cousin, it could be somebody who will give you that encouragement to keep pushing. And that's why I like experts. They know what I do. People ask me what I did at Disney. I said basically nothing. I just made sure everything got done. I had a lot of smart people around me that knew what they were doing. And
that's so true, because you can't. I do agree with you. You cannot do it. You can't do it alone. You have to have experts who know what they're doing, and whatever expertise or whatever aspect that you're working on, whether it's writing a book or starting a podcast or managing clients. And the first thing my husband told me, he's owned and run his own business for years. And so when I started Community with Caroline, I said, well, I want 500 clients. And he was like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to do all that. Like, you're going to have to eventually have help. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, Caroline, eventually, if you want to scale this, you'll have to have coaches under you to help you. And I was like, I didn't think about that. I was just thinking I can do it all. And he said, no, you can only do so much. You're only one person. You got to have good people to help you.
Absolutely. And if you could do it all, you would have no personal life, and your husband would leave you.
Exactly. It's already, I work and we still sometimes, he's like, okay, it's time to wrap it up for the day and put the phone down, stop texting.
Well, you love what you're doing. That's the problem.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, I guess it's a good problem to have, but it is sometimes a problem, because I just want to help, and if someone has an issue, I want to be able to help them. I don't care if it's, 8:30 at night.
Persistence is everything.
Yeah.
So good for you. But that's what I do. Anybody, I tell people it's never too late to get started. It's never too late to get better. It's never too late to have, you just got to do it. And,
you just got to do it, yeah.
And when you have help, it's easier to do it. But
I agree. Well, those are
lonely out there with the business.
Oh, yeah. That's the other aspect that you just don't really, I think, prepare yourself for, is how there are a lot of days where you feel super lonely, and it's weird. You're not, but I don't know.
All the things you never knew could happen.
1,000%. Yeah. Every time I think I'm just trucking along, and I'm like, okay, we're great. We've got this. We're so set up. And then boom, something happens. And I'm like, where did that come from? And why did it happen? And now we have to damage control and figure out how to navigate around it and keep moving forward, because this train is not stopping.
Well, and you're in a business that's pretty emotional too.
Oh yeah.
Women, and their weight and how they feel. Not only emotional. It's you almost got to be a psychologist, a psychiatrist, and a trainer. And a nutritionist. There's a lot of emotion to all of that. The number one reason people procrastinate in life and are unhappy and don't get things done is because they don't feel well. That's the number one reason people don't get it. That they just put things off. You wake up in the morning, you didn't get enough sleep, you don't feel good, you ate too much, you ate the wrong food, this, that, you have too much sugar, and you don't get anything done. And really, sleep, rest, Rest, diet, and exercise are the only three ways to get there.
Yep.
There are no other ways. There are none.
Sleep is, I feel like, one of the most under.
Oh God, it's
like I don't hear anyone really focusing on sleep, and that's something that I had to start taking into account. It didn't come into my head the first day I started this business, but as we've gone along and I work with so many women who their sleep is lacking, you start to realize, okay, so this kind of has to be number one, because if this is off, then it's going to trickle down and affect everything else.
And it's a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is people get anxiety over life, and then they can't sleep. And then it goes to bed, and then you go to the fridge, and then you go to the couch. And it all starts, I think, with how you feel every morning.
And it's easy to not pull yourself out of that when you're, you get in that cycle. You don't feel good, and then you say, well, I'm tired today. I guess I'm not making it to the gym. I'm going to just eat. I guess I'll just go and get something to drive through, which makes you feel worse, and then it just keeps going. And that's what I always say, just immediately stop and just make a different decision. It literally takes one decision.
Absolutely. And having somebody they can talk to is really important.
Yes.
I think that's why your program is, they can get a lot of feedback. And, you need it daily in this area. You need to, because those moments are every few minutes in your house when there's food nearby, or lay down on the couch and wake up an hour later, and there's a lot of distractions.
Yep, and that is, you got to stay focused on whatever. I always say pick something, whether it's laundry, or pick something to focus on that will take your mind off
busy.
of.
Exactly. Yeah. Keep busy.
Yep.
Well, good for you. I think I really love the replies of the ladies who have written to you to tell you how you're changing their life, because that's the most satisfaction I get in my life, is when I get somebody writes me, and I get them frequently, of saying, boy, I really enjoyed your course. It changed me. I'm more organized today. I wish I'd have read this book 20 years ago. And I said, that's the satisfaction you get when people say,
absolutely.
Thank you for helping me. I mean, that's
well, you've got that direct impact on their life. And when you hear that from someone, it's the most reaffirming thing to hear someone tell you that.
Yeah, people say to me, why do you work, Lee? Why don't you retire? And I said, because people clap, and I need it. I'm insecure.
That is so on point. I say that all the time. I say, we all want validation. We would be, if you say you don't want validation from others, then you're lying.
Somebody
because everybody, everybody wants to feel love.
My wife said that. She said, Lee, if you love me, tell me. Don't keep it to yourself.
That's right.
And we can all do that better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this was so much fun. Is there anything else you want to go over?
If anybody's interested in my work, they can go to my website, leecockerell.com. Everything's there. Since I'm getting old, I put everything in one place so I can know what it is. And no, it's fun. I love. I'm glad I ran into you. I'm not sure I knew that we met.
I'm going to put
that speech I gave. And but I run into the same kind of problems you do. People don't always agree with my position and point of view. So, but
that's a tough one.
You got to stick to your guns, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely am happy that I did stick to my guns, and I will continue moving forward, even though, it's like we said, tough, but it's at the end of the day what I know is right and what I know has to happen, and I just know it in my heart that it's the right thing. So
doing it right's hard.
Doing
it sloppy's easy.
That's right. Oh my gosh, I need that on like a sticker.
Yeah, good. It's easy to, I tell people excellence is a state of mind. It's your choice. You can be excellent, or you can be average, or you can be below. You can be whatever you want. But excellence is, everything matters when you're excellent. Yep. Everything matters. So you got to be a pain sometimes.
Yep. That's
it's
right.
Like, your commitment to your children. You'll do whatever you have to do to make sure they are successful. And that's
exactly right. And again, that's a hard thing. You tell them, why can't I do this? And why do they get to do this and I can't? I said, well, my decision, and I have your best interest in mind, and I'm the parent. So as long as I'm your parent,
yeah, exactly.
The way it's going to be.
Right. It's called responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And you had the kids. It's not my fault.
That's right.
You started the business, not me.
Yeah, that's it.
Commitment is really something. As I said, only mothers can understand commitment, because when you ask them how committed are you to their children, they say, I'll go all the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many things. I told
I
somebody, I said, do you realize you love your kids more than your husband? She said, what? I said, yeah, that's true.
It's definitely something that I never thought, okay, so you're going to have, you think I want kids, and then you don't ever stop worrying about them all day, every day. And I'm like, gosh, when am I ever, you take them to drop them off at grandma's, and then you worry, and then you
never will get over this. This is right up to the last day on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids, as I tell my grandkids, I said, we think about you every day, and I'm sure you don't think about us once a week. So,
it just keeps going. I'm sure when my kids start having kids, it'll be the same thing all over again.
It will be.
Yeah.
No doubt. But,
well, this was so much fun.
Yeah. And keep in touch. Keep doing what you're doing. You are making a difference, because there's nothing more important than health. You don't have health, you can't help anybody.
Can't do anything.
My wife said, Lee, your main goal in life is, I'm giving you 3 priorities. Number 1, take care of yourself so you can take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, take care of your family. Number 3, take care of your business. And if you have any time left over, you can help Kim Kardashian with her problems. Make sure you take care of yourself and us first, and the business. And then I might let you take a nap or go play golf. But not until you get those first 3 done. And that's something I hammer to people. You don't take care of your health for you. You take care of it for your kids, your husband, your mom, and your dad. Yeah, don't be
everybody around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, keep at it.
I will. I appreciate it. I'll make sure and put all of your links and stuff to the website and all that. So if anyone has any further questions or they want to learn more, they'll have all of that when I get this episode uploaded. So
that's good. And if you want to do something one time with your all your members, get them all, everybody online on Zoom, and talk about different things. I do that.
That'd be
awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I never even
want to talk about their kids, and their kids are in college, and how do I do this? What should they major in? Blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of fun to.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely do that.
A community call. All right. You have a good day. Take care, and I'll be talking to you.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you for checking out the CWC podcast. If you want to learn more about our community, make sure to check out the show notes.